This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I am here with Nicholas Brown, who is joining us all the way from Black Estate. I guess you're having a coffee or a tea this morning. I'm not imagining that's wine.
Not wine quite yet. Yeah, hitting the peppermint tea to start with, but I've got some coffee brewing, so I'm looking forward to that.
Right,
soon.
right. Now, what is the weather like over there right now? Because you're in the midst of winter, are you not?
Yes, that's right. We are right in the middle of our pruning season when all the vines are very dormant. Really like this time of year for a time for us to sort of rest and connect to our vineyards as we work through each of them, pruning them block by block. So we have had quite a wet and a reasonably cool by New Zealand standards winter, which I think is always exciting to have our soils potentially at field capacity for bud burst. But and this morning we've had a frost, and look, I know by your standards our frost is just below zero, whereas I've spent some time in Canada and it gets pretty chilly there. So yeah, we've had some cool mornings. I'm just looking out the window now, and it's you probably can't see that, but yeah, there's vineyard. A little bit of frost to wake up with this morning, which is good. And yeah, but parts of New Zealand have been having some a lot of rain, and Marlborough received more rain. So you know, we probably don't want to get too much wetter. But yeah, middle of winter stuff for us.
Yeah. Now, for those people unfamiliar with your wines, would you mind telling me a little about what you do at Black Estates, a little bit about the origin story, so to speak?
Yes, so we're in North Canterbury, which is an hour north of Christchurch in the South Island on the east coast. So North Canterbury is a wine growing region with diverse and interesting soil types for wine. We have Glasnevin gravels, Waipara limestones, and Omahi clays in the three general sub-districts that I just mentioned there. And so our three vineyards are within the Omahi sub-district, where we get very dense clay soils and sometimes limestone. And we're making single vineyard wines off each of those three sites that we have. So we have our home vineyard, which is the original vineyard planted by Russell Black in 1994. We have a vineyard we call Dam Steep, which is in more limestone soil and very, very steep faces.
I guess by the name, yeah.
Yep, picked that up, good. And then our Netherwood vineyard, which was actually planted in 1986 by Russell Black and Daniel Schuster. And Daniel was one of the pioneers of New Zealand wine. And this is a ungrafted, unirrigated, high-density vineyard. It was the first hillside vineyard in North Canterbury, and this is actually where I am. So I shot that shot out the window there. It's where I live, and we also have our winery here. So it's sort of the central vineyard between the other two. So at harvest, all the fruit comes here, and we process it here.
Now, you started off with the home vineyard, right? And that was originally planted to Mendoza Chardonnay and 10-5 Pinot. But since then, you have definitely expanded both the varieties and the, I guess, the palette of clones that you have there.
Yeah, that's true. We've been really fortunate to be able to build up and acquire some other vineyards. We started with a home block, and that was my wife Penelope and myself and her family. And we both actually kept our day jobs to start with, and we converted the home vineyard from organic over to biodynamic, and from conventional to organic, certified organic, and then biodynamic.
I see.
And the idea was really to bring that existing vineyard up to, you know, restore it, restore the soil health, and bring back the vitality of the vines. That property was quite alluring because it also had 4 hectares unplanted in what we thought was the best part of the hill. You move further up the hill into the belly of the slope there. So we thought it had a lot of potential to produce high quality wine. And also it has a good proximity to the highway, or it's accessible. So we thought it'd be a nice place for people to come and visit. So in 2000, we purchased it in 2007. In 2012, we planted a new vineyard. And in 2012, we also opened a restaurant on site so people can come and visit and see what we do there. So yeah.
And you make a point of sourcing almost everything for the restaurant locally, right?
Yes, we started, the building was actually designed by Penn, my wife's cousin, Richard Nash, and he built a beautiful building that would encompass, a tasting room, a house, and a little bit of accommodation there. We started off really just having very simple food that might accompany tastings, but quickly found there was a lot of high quality produce around the valley. So we built, more and more of a menu, and more people started to visit. And we had the help of some very talented chefs there. And yeah, it's become a restaurant now that's open 5 days a week and has full service and is quite popular. So it's been great to explore, local foods, seasonality, and connect that with the vineyard. And then for people coming to visit Black Estate, to be able to sit in the restaurant overlooking a working organic and biodynamic vineyard, see the valley, North Canterbury, they can get a really strong connection as to where we are and what we're doing. So it's been a really nice process.
Now, people always give me quite different answers when I ask them this question, but what was it that led you down the biodynamic route? What was it that made you adhere to some of Steiner's rulings and philosophies? Yeah,
it was just a deeper connection to the rhythms of nature that appealed to us, I think. Right. I mean, we really love the sites that we farm, and when you're sort of learning your crafts, you're looking for wines that inspire you and influence you. And I think some of the wines we tasted, not only from around North Canterbury or New Zealand, but from all around the world, the ones that really stood up for us were those that were deeply connected to their vineyards. And more often than not, a lot of those were using biodynamic practices. So the concepts there really where you're thinking about the vineyard as a whole, a farm, with all its complex parts, was really quite intriguing and allowed not only sort of engaged myself and Penn, but also our vineyard team as well, helped us to become very engaged to, the rhythms, not only think about just what the vine's doing, but what the soil's doing, what the, the grasses around it, the sward, the trees, and then bringing animals onto the property has also been really enjoyable too. So really that connection, the rhythms, it is nice to observe, look up at night and see the stars and think about the phases of the moon and realize, where you are in relation to all that. So it's just a broadening there, which I really like.
Now, I'd be very interested as to your views when it comes to tasting wine according to different days in the biodynamic calendar.
Well, wine in general is about enjoyment and bringing people together, maybe enhancing an occasion, and food, that connection, food, people, place. So I would not really hesitate to open one of my favorite bottles of wine from somewhere because it was, a wrong day. However, in the winemaking process, because looking at the biodynamic calendar and maybe thinking about the rhythms and the subtleties that are, moving and having that awareness just helps us fine tune maybe our work schedule, and just to think, okay, we've got this day where there is potentially a node or an eclipse. There have been some studies showing that this can alter, the way things are growing. You certainly feel some strange, feelings, I guess, when there is an eclipse. It's a very special moment. Yes. So things like that might be that we wouldn't book a bottling date on a node, for example. Also, we might look at the calendar for our bottling. This is in the winery. And we might say, well, we want to bottle our wine around about this period. So if we look at the calendar, we say, okay, it's a period where it's ascending moon, it's a fruit day. It could be interesting if we did it on that day, just because we can. The schedule allows us to. So it's really helping us schedule. If bottling was delayed by some other factor, you know that the other day we had some rain come, the bridge to the bottling company was blocked. We couldn't bottle that day because of the weather. I'm not going to lose too much sleep about the fact that the wine wasn't then not bottled on a fruit day. It's just really timing, rhythm, that awareness again. In the vineyard though, with our vineyard preparations, we do like to put the cow horn prep and the silica prep on 4 times a year. So we try and keep that in sync with the winter solstice, spring equinox, summer solstice, and autumn equinox. And when we're applying those, we just from consulting with people who've had a lot of experience with their practices on their farms, we try to apply the cow horn prep on a descending period. And this is where the period where you think about the earth breathing in, and then the silica prep, which is all about light and structure, on an ascending period where you think about lifting up. So they are the kind of concepts, but it's just rhythms and awareness that gives us another level of understanding, which we quite like. The most important thing is that those preparations go on. So once again, if it's not on the perfect day, we'd rather do it than not.
Yeah.
Same with obviously bottling. We'd rather bottle it than not. So it's just a guide that we use to fine-tune our rhythms.
Well, I've been a sommelier for over, goodness, I think it's 28 years or something like that now. Working as a journalist for 12 of those years now. And I used to think the whole concept of tasting wines on different biodynamic days was a load of bollocks. However, I would say over the last 10 years, doing some it's anecdotal experimentation, but I have come to discover, without looking first, that I tend to always prefer wines on fruit or flower days and enjoy them much less on leaf or root days. And a lot of my peers tell me that's all in my head, and I've actually lost the plot now. But as I said, I don't actually look to see what day it is before I taste, but particularly with wines that I'm very familiar with, if I go back to taste them, I can normally tell what kind of day it is by the way that those wines I'm very familiar with taste. So I just wondered what your take was on that. So.
Yeah, we definitely see all of our wines have their own rhythm.
Yes.
I haven't gone to the level you have and seen, if it's in sync with certain days. But yes, we have had those moments at tastings where people go, wow, this wine is singing. I wonder what kind of day it is. And what do you know?
Yeah.
It's a fruit day. So there definitely has been that. And, that whole process, I think, is really interesting just because you get this engagement with the wine. I guess you allow the wine to, you see it in a different light, and your relationship with it can really grow, and you're really enhancing that experience. So, yeah, I think that's quite exciting, isn't it? Where you can really engage in something,